Well, yet another episode of Spike's Family has just dropped, and I think this one has to be something of a bit of an oddity. It was a good episode nonetheless, focusing on the fact of Yor's domestic troubles. I mean, the fact that she thinks that it was a cookie that made Lloyd go to the bathroom, or rather pretty much spend the afternoon in the toilet, when in reality, it was something along the lines of, well, how to put it bluntly, he needed to get out there quick, so he pretty much spent the afternoon on the toilet. However, the fact that he thought it was a breakfast that she made probably certainly does seem like a bit of a funny gag. And the fact that she tries to become a better cook for Anya and Lloyd, just for the sake of their family, is something of a quite interesting main plot line. I think the other best bit about the whole thing is just the fact that just in general the fact of how bad she is. I mean, she cuts her hands to ribbons several times over. And I mean, cuts them to ribbons. Well, pretty much she comes home with her hand covered in plasters. With small cuts pointing like them from knives. And then it's on both hands as well. So she goes off to work, and I think the best bit about that whole season, I think, was just the fact that she goes off. Work colleague says the fact she's a good cook. She goes a little bit over the top with ingredients and everything else. And then she tries, I think, just cooking. And, of course, her brother shows up as well. Anyway, she tries to cook. First of all, she cuts her ribbons with a potato peeler. She then chops the meat into paper-thin strips. When in actual fact, all you really need to do, I think, when it cutting something like that, is you think you cut it down. And then she somehow is able to chop through a sodden wooden chopping board. That's how much force she had in. Another thing that I think was also rather funny about that whole episode, or whole sequence, I think was just the reaction to the whole thing. We get the usual, like, potion brewing dark energy around the whole thing, and it comes out dark blue. Anyway, her brother eats the stuff like crazy, because it's pretty much the only food he's ever eaten, whereas her work colleague, he'd get a thing, and I think of one of our two work colleagues, when they eat the stuff, down they go. And that was just a minestrone. I'm trying to they seem like a meatball. And once again, her brother goes at it like with all gusto. However, he goes like, blah, blah. We get a whole sequence of pretty much like throwing up and like, with the fact she's killing him. And I think that sequence there is just absolutely hilarious. Okay, granted, it's a bit more like along this line of domestics, but it was a good sequence nonetheless. And then she tries something I think that her mother used to make before, I don't know, she disappeared. And it was pretty much I would assume would probably be a local dish. And her friend, being a good cook, tells her to make that. And they do. And it actually works. And then her brother says the fact that something's missing. And then we learn where Yor comes from. And then so they add a little bit of sour cream to the whole thing. And it's pretty much spot on perfect. And then she goes home with some new cookie advice with her confidence restored. And she doesn't kill Lloyd or Anya. They have a good meal. The interesting B-plot, I think, was the fact that Lloyd's information guy tries to get dating advice out of him. That scene was hilarious, and it doesn't go well. And I think they had both of them end up getting drunk in a bar. I think my first complaints, with the first three episodes, was the lack of a Yor-centric episode. And this, I think, was probably a nice one to see. We learned the fact that Yor wants to become a better, she wants to become a better wife and mother. Partially, I think, because she is struggling for acceptance. But I think also because I think that as much as Lloyd is enjoying this domestic bliss to a certain extent, she's enjoying it more because she can basically be probably the two things that she wanted most in her life. A husband and a child. Doesn't matter if they're adopted or not. And I think the other thing is, it's just how brilliant the whole sequence goes. It was nice to see, I think, some of Yor's backstory as well. And I think the jokes, of course, were the fact that her brother will eat the stuff up to the point where it might actually kill him. And of course, at the same time, Lloyd's tries to pretty much tell the fact to his friend, who supplies him with information, is the fact that he's a stalker. That sequence into itself was kind of funny as well. I think the other thing, what made it particularly good, is I think just the fact that after 3 episodes of hectic hullabaloo, we finally returned to something a little bit more to form. A lot more of the comedic gags and other stuff. The thing that makes Spy X Family, I think, so great is its sense of humour and how it parodies everyday life and just makes the absolute fun of the fact of some people just can't do anything, but then again realise the fact they can be good at something if they just try. That's an important moral I think anyone to do. It was another good episode. I just wish maybe there was a bit more drama and everything else, or a bit more of the sort of like semi-slapstick humour. But apart from that, it was just absolutely brilliant. I think just to see a return to form, and I think just the fact that a return to ludicrousy that we saw in the first season, it's nice to see some of that back. But I think probably in a bit more moderation this time. It was nice to see and nice to be back on track. I've been the Universal Challenger, thanks for watching. Please remember to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Cheerio!